everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before we start, I just wanted to say thank you. We just surpassed 100 subscribers. It means more to me than you know, and I'm incredibly thankful for each and every one of you. Today I want to talk about the new movie, Avatar: The Way of Water. As you probably know, this movie is directed by James Cameron and was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. The synopsis is as follows. Jake Sully and Neytiri have formed a family and are doing everything to stay together. However, they must leave their home and explore the regions of Pandora. When an ancient threat resurfaces, Jake must fight a difficult war against the humans. So without further ado, let's get into the 6 things that make a movie great. 1. The plot. So Avatar 2 takes place 15 years in the future from the ending of Avatar 1, and at this point Jake Sully and Neytiri have 3 children, but basically take care of 5. At that point, the humans have returned and they're trying to make a livable place on Pandora because the Earth is dying. But since this enemy is tasked specifically with killing Jake Sully and his family, they decide to leave the Na'vi because they feel like they're putting the tribe in danger. They go far away to the water tribe of the Ta'vi, where they must learn the way of the water and somehow find a way to fight back against these humans. It seemed like in the first 20 minutes of the movie there were some pretty convenient things that James Cameron wrote in from the first movie that enabled him to make a second movie. And I'm not saying they weren't well written in the second movie, they were just kind of convenient. And some of the plot seems a bit recycled, but he wrote in just enough new things to make it interesting. I will say that I'm not really happy with the way the movie ended because it set itself up for yet another sequel, which we already knew was coming, but a sequel of the same thing that we just saw. And after watching the movie, I immediately started comparing it to what would have been supposedly in the John Carter of Mars universe, where they had plans for 2 more movies and it would have been pretty much the same thing over and over again. That's really the vibe that I got with the ending of this movie. The plot suffers a bit at the expense of trying to elongate the storytelling in the Avatar universe. But with all that being said, I still enjoyed the story that I saw on screen. It still engaged me the entire time. So for me, plot gets a thumbs up. 2 is family friendliness. Avatar 2 is rated PG-13. It has a moderate bit of profanity, quite a bit more than was in the previous film. You obviously have the fact that the Na'vi and Ta'vi are just not fully clothed, but I don't think that's ever been an issue. But the main concern for me as far as family friendliness goes is the exuberant amount of violence in this movie. Violence isn't one of the things that bothers me, but it happens so much in this film that I have to bring it up because you see a crap ton of people get just murked. And the extreme violent nature of this movie is what makes me give caution to people who are thinking about bringing their kids to this movie. In fact, someone brought their sub-10-year-old child to this movie, and what I had hoped was going to be 3.5 hours being involved in the Avatar universe ended up almost being a 3.5-hour campaign for birth control because he would not stop talking. So because of the language and a ton of violence and the fact that this movie is 3.5 hours long, probably don't bring your kid to see this movie in theaters, but in general, family friendliness for me gets 50-50. 3 is acting and script. All of the acting is great. After having watched the first Avatar movie again, I remembered that there were some pretty cheesy script moments, especially when it came to the antagonists, like really cartoonish villainy things to say. And those things were definitely present yet again in this movie. It gave me a little tinge of cringe, but it didn't take away from the movie. Everything else about the script was very well done. The dialogue between characters was natural and good, and there were even funny moments here and there, but I really liked the journey that the script took us on. So for me, acting and script get a thumbs up. 4 is character development. Apparently 15 years can do a lot to a character, and I can't really say that I enjoy the direction they decided to go with Jake Sully. It didn't really feel like he had much of a character arc in this movie, but they made him into a drill sergeant father, using all this military lingo and treating his kids like they're his squad mates. And that was really weird for me because that's not something that was even really present in the first movie. It's not the kind of person that he was. And so while I'm not saying that I don't believe that because I know it's something that can obviously happen, I didn't really like the way they went with his character progression. While Neytiri plays a role in this movie, her role is greatly reduced from the first film as well, because this movie wanted to put most of its focus into the children of Jake Sully and Neytiri. Neteyam, Loak, Tuk, and then Kitty and Spider, who aren't their kids, but they pretty much take care of them. While you're absolutely bombarded with new characters at the beginning of this movie, you eventually grow to know each and every one of the characters and understand them as people. And while Loak gets probably the most character development, I really liked the character of Kitty. Her character is easily one of the most interesting and mysterious parts about this movie. I really enjoyed what they did with her character, and I look forward to what this universe will reveal about her as we move forward. I heard some rumors and they were confirmed pretty much near the beginning of the movie, but I wasn't a huge fan of the antagonist at first. But I will say you get some character development with them to the point where it makes it at least a little more interesting than I originally thought. But it was kind of one of those convenient plot things that James Cameron decided to slide in that we didn't know about in the first movie. So when looking at all of the new characters that are introduced and the fact that at the end of the movie you know all of them, regardless of how I feel about their character progression, their character development was very well done. So for me, character development gets a thumbs up. 5 is visuals and CGI. Do I even really need to talk about this? The visuals and CGI in this movie are incredible. Just like the first movie, but it involves a lot of underwater scenes. The CGI and visuals are absolutely seamless. You are completely immersed in this world and there's nothing that pulls you out of it. Pandora is just as incredible as you remember it. Visuals and CGI get a huge thumbs up. And 6 is rewatchability. This movie is 3 hours and 12 minutes long, and while there are some points where the movie feels a little lengthy, it definitely doesn't feel as long as the runtime is. This movie really is just another longer chapter in the Avatar universe, and while there's just enough to make this movie a bit different than the first one, a lot of the plot kind of feels the same. There's enough to wow you and keep you involved in the Avatar universe, but in the absence of that, I think that this movie would have been a lot less palatable. So I'll just come out and say it. I don't think that Avatar 2 is as rewatchable as Avatar 1, but it still was a good movie that I really enjoyed. So for me, rewatchability gets a thumbs up. With all these areas considered, I have to give Avatar: The Way of Water an 8 out of 10. There were some cheesy antagonist script moments, along with some plot conveniences, and some recycled things that we've already seen in the previous film. But James Cameron continues to amaze us with the world of Avatar, the creatures, the tribes, the people, and the adventures of the Sully family. There's so much smoke out there about James Cameron and his plans for the Avatar universe, and I'm pretty much of the mind that we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So with that being said, if you enjoyed the first Avatar movie, you will definitely enjoy the second one, and probably will want to go see it in theaters. Thank you so much for watching. If you've seen Avatar: The Way of Water, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. As always, I appreciate your love and support, and I'll catch you guys and gals in the next one.